What's going on? How are y'all doing? Mic check. Just wanted to go live real quick, talk about a couple things, answer some questions you may have. How's everyone doing? Let me know where you're watching from. Always think it's interesting how far our channel's reaching. And yeah, here to answer any questions, but also want to talk about mostly the registry. What's up with this news about the registry? Now, you might be thinking, well, is registry even possible? You know, this thing called the registry, and some people call it amnesty. It's the old version of amnesty several decades ago. It's been about at least 35 years since the last immigration related law passed, and it's definitely time for an update. There's a lot of there's been a lot of talk last year. As you know, we had a lot of videos to talk about different reform, different proposals, and it went nowhere. They're all duds, unfortunately. So, at some point in the show, I'm going to share with you my thoughts on this new proposal in the House by California Representative Zoe Lofgren. She had proposed several others last year. Eagle Act, for example, she seems to be one of those few politicians at the Capitol Hill that knows a lot more about immigration, or at least she has people that are informing her about issues related to immigration. And of course, as you know, there's a whole bunch of things. A lot of people that need status who are currently here in America, including those who did not meet the last Citizenship Act, I believe, of the year 2000, and who are adoptees who were not counted or included in that. So that's just including people aging out, over 21 who are dependent of H-1B visa holders. So not just people who overstayed. So in Congress they don't understand this, and unfortunately they make this a political game. You know this already, especially since it's been about a year and a half with President Biden, and I know a lot of y'all are saying, "What? Why is Biden not doing anything?" Well, there's a lot of crap going on in America and around the world, unfortunately. And I guess gas prices, people think gas is controlled by Biden for some reason, but Biden can only do so much. But what he can do, okay, he can't vote for every single politician. But hey, Ali, what's going on from you're in Chicago? All political parties are lies. Nothing will happen. They want us to die. Illegal. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about all that, but yeah, I do. I do obviously put blame on the politicians, red and blue. That's for sure. That's my take on it. Okay, friends. And so what y'all need to do actually? So what I think Democrats are doing is trying to bring some heat. Okay, they want to bring the topic back. Okay, of immigration reform. Do I think this is the right way to do it? Of allowing amnesty, and all you have to show is 7 years of being in America. I don't think that's the proper way to get Republicans on board. Especially, I mean, I like it in terms of course, immigration advocate, but in terms of thinking both sides of the aisle, it's not going to work. Okay, so I'm sorry to say that. Um, Luna, you asked what's his registration date. They don't have a proposal right now because they want to make it rolling date. So basically, as long as you show 7 years of being in America, more or less, that's what they're saying. That's good enough. Um, but yeah, I mean, the one of the first proposals, Citizenship Act of 2021, that was going to allow potentially 14 million people. So imagine, and I think that cutoff date was like January, if I remember correctly, January 20th, 2021 or something like that. So of course that was going to include a lot of people. So I don't think Republicans, if they weren't on board for that one last year, they wouldn't be on board for this one. So this is what I believe this is going on is just more of, hey, folks out there, constituents, we're trying to do something, and hey, Republicans, are you interested? Let's do something. So let's start the conversation. So Zoe Lofgren probably has a plan. You know how bills work in Congress. Like they propose something, an idea, but when it gets, passed around, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay exactly the same co- um, text. Okay. I think the intent is the same, is trying to help immigrants get legal status in America. So especially folks who may have entered, for example, like TPS for Ukrainians, there's a cutoff date, but of course the war's still going on. So if people from Ukraine enter the United States with parole or without parole, they're going to be cut off from the TPS. So that's another example where people who need status. And of course, there's other folks from different countries who need assistance, legal status. Let me know in the comments what type of, man, I guess you don't have to speak directly about yourself, but maybe it's about your neighbor or friend, what kind of situation they're in. Maybe they couldn't meet the DACA deadline. There's a whole slew of different issues with immigration. And when you share comments like this on YouTube, it helps at least me, because I try to do my best and share things with my what do you call it, elected official. Okay, and anytime that any group that I'm part of, like for example, AILA, this American Immigration Lawyers Association, and also my local bar associations, when we do speak with elected officials, and most of the time it's their staffers, because of course elected officials don't have time for us. So yeah, I see what you're saying, Ali. That is very nice about other countries. Only America. Hey, a lot of people are seeking freedom in America. Just the other day, it's very unfortunate stories. I won't go into too much detail because it's so graphic, but people flee certain countries. Uh, I won't name the country because I don't want to get flagged myself, but certain countries, because they're being forced to have certain medical procedures. And of course it may depend on the gender. So, but if you just Google search, forced sterilization, for example, is pretty traumatizing, of course. So, those are just one other situation that someone has come to America because of that situation, seeking asylum, and then they might not have won their case, even though you would think that they should win the case, because it's such a traumatic experience for someone. And why would the government force that kind of medical procedure? Some things, unfortunately, are not explained very well by the government, including America. Um, but it's we know everyone's seeking freedom here, and whether it's freedom of choice or freedom of where to live, but there's no freedom in terms of avoiding taxes. You still got to pay taxes. So that's the one thing I find interesting from folks that talk to us, and they explain their life in their country, and then they explain their new life in America, and they're like, "What the heck? I have to work all the time." Yeah, you got to pay taxes. That's just how it is. You got to pay to live, or work to live, basically. Work for the freedom. All right, I see a question. TPS, can I change the green card? Okay, yeah, we talked about this, I think a video the other day. That is possible. Okay. Uh, I need a little bit more information, Maziad, about your TPS situation. So if you saw my video the other day, man, I think a couple weeks ago by now, there was a new policy that's going to be set in place, that if you have TPS and you have obtained advanced parole first, okay, TPS first, apply for TPS first. Second, apply for the advanced parole travel document. And so they say they're gonna issue a different kind of card. Okay, it's more like basically a special card just for TPS holders. And I think the reason they're doing this is because they want to protect this ability for TPS holders to adjust status, to obtain residency. And so if you're not um, if you're not familiar, adjustment of status is also AOS, or the form number 485. But in this situation, the policy says that you have to travel. You have to obtain that travel document, the advanced parole 131 form, and then travel on it and then come back. Because when you come back, that's what we call legally inspected and admitted. Okay, so of course, I tell every myself and our legal team, we tell every person who asks about these kind of questions or related to it that you need to share your entire information. Because if we just answer broadly like this on YouTube and Facebook, talking about like, can you do this? We don't know your criminal history. So if you have some crimes or some kind of current, recent arrest, um, maybe you didn't actually do something, but when you try to re-enter customs, they don't know about that. So all they see is your just a chart, right? The list, basically like a fake FBI background check. So you don't want to just take this type of information blindly. You need to speak to an immigration lawyer to review your situation more in depth. Okay. But yes, in general, you can apply for adjustment status based on uh, travel based on TPS. Okay. And a travel document. So, it's just a mouthful. We have to be very careful what we say, of course, as you can imagine. So hopefully that helps, Mazjad. And let's see. Some animation. Can I reopen my old deportation order with an approved I-730? I would need to know more information about that. Um, there has to be a basis to reopen, of course. There is the lawsuit against the Biden administration, of course, the Department of Homeland Security, because of the recent or the memo back in April about prosecutorial discretion, where they're trying to conservatives, of course, are trying to say, don't you can't be more have a more narrow focus on certain priorities. It's just silly. I just don't understand. If you don't have it's just like of any business or your personal life. If you don't have certain priorities, how do you get stuff done? So you have to have priorities. Just like us, honestly, we don't handle asylum cases. We refer those out to our trusted colleagues who only handle asylum. And but we appreciate that you do call in and trust us, and so we can refer you to the proper folks, professionals that do handle that. But sorry, going on tangents here. But to answer your question, some animation directly to answer your question, yeah, I guess I can't really answer it. I would need more information because to see if you, well, essentially, despite the lawsuit against the Biden administration on the prosecutorial discretion, it always exists. It's just about this recent memo is more about narrowing that focus. So it's still available, but I have to check. I'll have to check for tomorrow's show. But if the lawsuit was focused on the more broad provisions, okay. So I'm not sure if these conservatives really focus on that. I gotta check that later on because there's and the broad provisions include folks that already have a removal order, okay, and may have an immediate relative or family member through family preference, and now it's current. So those are the kind of cases we're getting dismissed or recount. We call recalendared if there was administrative close before, and they ultimately get dismissed. For example, we just had a government attorney, Department of Homeland Security attorney, agree to getting our case dismissed, and it was based on marriage to a U.S. citizen, and he was supposed to have court, I think, last month. So we were able to avoid that all completely. I mean, fortunately, these days, I think judges also are finally realizing they need to be more um, mindful of their time. If I were a judge, I would not want to hear a case if I don't need to. It could just get dismissed. But of course, back when it was President Trump, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, yeah, is that his name? Haven't heard from him in a while, thank goodness. But he tried to close off administrative closure, so it made it more difficult for these judges. And judges in the morning session and afternoon session had to hear two trials per session. It was pretty ridiculous. So, anyways, glad they don't have to do that anymore. But if it's happening in your area, let us know. That'd be very interesting. By the way, we do offer free 15-minute preliminary discussion. So you're welcome to give us a call right up here. On we're open 8 to 7 Central Time. Okay, so our cares team will chat with you. That's Monday through Friday. But if you don't have time to give us a call, that's all right. And you have time at night, like right now, fill out the intake form. Just a few questions on our website, greencardguys.com. Happy to point you in the right direction. But to access those free 15 minutes, we do share a secret code at the very end of the show. So we'll probably be on for at least another 5 minutes or so because my baby's asleep and I don't know when they're going to wake up. Let's see. Okay, Roop, what's the future of pending asylum? Can you be a little bit more specific about your question so I can help you answer your question? But at least in general, with folks have pending asylum, this is probably not going to answer your question, but folks have pending asylum for several years, usually when it's more than 4 years waiting and you believe you have a legitimate, really good claim. Of course, most people that talk with us, 99.9%, have a true claim. Something has happened to them. They have, or a fear of future persecution, but they've been waiting a long time, more than 4 years, that the application has been pending. So if that's a situation for you, our solution for you, if you are willing to take the risk to actually have the interview, because of course you're telling the truth, then we file a mandamus lawsuit. Mandamus is a provision in a federal law that allows us, on your behalf, to file against, for example, USCIS or Department of State, any government U.S. immigration agency that has delayed your case. And so that can include situations where you're waiting for the interview or you receive a 221G document from the consular embassy and you're still waiting after you already provide your documents. And also, let's say you already had your asylum or adjustment of status interview and it's been more than 6 months or more than a year and you're still waiting. We've had folks wait so patiently, wait at least 3 years, but then no, and also responded to our request for evidence, but still no decision. After we file a lawsuit, on average, I can't say for every case, on average, we get what we want, whether it's the interview or the decision, in about 2 months. So just some food for thought. It depends on the case, of course. But if you're stuck, if your case is stuck and your family member is stuck outside or waiting for interview decision, give us a call. We'll see if your case qualifies for filing a lawsuit. Okay, so okay, I blabbered about that, and now I see Roop. I'll get to you, Assassin's Airsoft. Roop, you said file assignment 2016. Okay, yeah, so it's about 5 6 years. Yeah, you got your social and work permit. Great, that's wonderful, but never interviewed. What are your chances with the current government to get positive answer if we sue the government? Okay, so I guess I was in the right mindset to talk about mandamus. So everyone's positive answer you're looking for is different for every type of case, right? So in your situation, you're looking for the interview date. That would be the outcome we're looking for. Of course, ultimately, you want to have the approval of the asylum, but a mandamus lawsuit in your situation is to get you the interview date. Okay, so in most scenarios, we try to get the case still active, open until you actually get the decision, because we understand that sometimes USCIS will somehow forget to issue a decision, even though you already had an interview. So that's another situation where we file a lawsuit. But when we file a lawsuit for getting an interview date, we try to keep it open, okay, until you get that decision. um, so very positive in that sense. Okay, so we file lawsuits on this reason for this reason too, and it usually on average 2 to 3 months to get the interview date. It may depend where you live, Root, but I believe there's only five major asylum offices across the country, and they do allow for telephonic, so by telephone, at least for your attorney. Um, let's see here. So yeah, I know it's a predicament, right? I mean, it's like, do you want to file a lawsuit and then what do you call, like, get their attention, tell your case, and then you haven't prepared for your interview. So that's what I recommend, because fortunately, knock on wood, we've had pretty good success on this situation. Thanks, Rube. We appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Okay. Um, you're from Illinois. Oh, you're living in Illinois. Okay. Yeah, it's summertime. It should be hopefully good weather out there right now. Finally. Um, but yeah, you need to prepare. If your mindset is ready to file a lawsuit against the government, USCIS, in this situation for waiting for an interview, you also need to have the mindset to get ready and prepare for the actual interview. Because and we mention that in these consultations, because fortunately, again, we've been successful in getting the interview sooner than most people think. So I don't want you to wait, and then think that, oh, I can talk to another lawyer, because we don't handle asylum. Again, we refer that out, but we don't want you to wait and then think, oh, yeah, shoot, I need to hire a lawyer to help me prepare. And some people tell me that they don't have the funds to hire a lawyer for asylum. I highly recommend you hire someone to prepare you, because if you're spending money on our law firm to help you for mandamus, I appreciate that, but I want you to prepare for the interview. That's how much we care about. At the end of the day, for part of our mission at Team Law Group, is we care about your outcome. Okay, your outcome is legal status. So that's why I highly recommend you consider getting prepared for your interview. I know I'm just hashing this out over and over, but I really care about the outcome for you guys. Okay. Otherwise, this is why we exist, to help you. Okay. Brick Brook, you're getting a waiver denied 3 times for overstaying and misrep. Is there any hope with the new policies? You're in the States for over a decade. Um, Sorry, I got distracted by another question. So, denied 3 times. I'm sorry to hear that, Brick. This the first thing is, I'm assuming that this requires qualifying relative. Hopefully, you still have your denial notices. Our team is happy to take a look at it for you as part of that free 15 minutes. Okay. Don't forget, y'all. I'm gonna share the secret code in a bit. Um, is there any hope? Because yeah, the 601A and 601, 601A helps with overstay situation in general. And then misrep is a 601 form. So maybe that's the reason why, because you need two different applications. Is there any hope with new policies? So I mean, there's been so many new policies, but I don't know which specific policy you're referring to. But yeah, just for those folks that are not familiar, you need to if you entered the United States without status, so some people call that illegally, and without documentation, and your facts don't fit any circumstances for an exception to stay here for the green card interview, then you have to apply for a waiver. But not everyone is eligible for waiver. You need qualifying relative, and depending on the past immigration history, for the 601A, children are not included. U.S. citizen or resident children are not included as qualifying relative. It has to be your parent or spouse who is a U.S. citizen or resident. So hopefully that helps. But Brick, sounds like this could be an opportunity. We could chat with you. Okay, give us a call right up here, or go to our website, greencardguys.com. So I guess my quick answer, that was a long answer. That probably didn't answer you, but Brick, I guess my direct answer to you now is that I don't believe the new policies have anything to do about your situation to give you a better chance. For example, we talked to someone last week. I'm not going into detail, of course, but that they filed on their own, which, yes, most of these applications you can file on your own, but if you haven't done this before, of course, and you want to try to obviously get approved, then you want to hire a professional to help you. Sure, there are some people that file on their own and get approved, but someone I spoke with, I think about a month ago, they filed it and only wrote 2 paragraphs. and they did not know what a qualifying relative was or why that's important related to this type of application for waiver. It's for the 601A and the 601. So that's why it's very important to chat with a professional. Okay. And by professional, I mean a licensed attorney. Very, very important. Okay, Brick. Great. Wife and kids. Okay. Okay. You're U.S. citizen spouse or resident spouse. Okay. Good to know. So, Brooke, happy to chat with you. If, by the way, if you're interested in a free 15 minutes, it might not be with me. We have a couple attorneys on our team who can help you. But of course, if you want me directly, I mean, I believe we offer. My team may have put a consultation fee for me specifically, but there could be times I could pop in and answer some questions. But my team is equally qualified. That's why I hired them, of course. Roop, let's see here. How if the output to interview is what if the interview is turns negative? Can we go higher court? So it's not higher court like the appellate court. If your asylum interview is your decision is denial, then you will be referred to immigration court, and so that's the lowest level for court purposes related to immigration. And then just thinking big picture, if for some reason the immigration judge denies your asylum application there also, then you can appeal it to a higher court called the Board of Immigration Appeals. And then the next step after that is the circuit courts. So it just depends on the region. And I think you're in Illinois. I can't recall exactly which circuit court that is, but then after circuit court is the Supreme Court. So every level, well, starting at the circuit court, they're very particular. They don't accept every case. So that's just something to consider. Okay, we're coming close to the secret code. Okay, thanks for staying on. Assassin, I see your question again. Your first question said, "Can you travel within U.S. with approved I-140?" So in general, a lot of our clients and people we know travel domestically in the United States, um, even without any documentation. So maybe, but this is before the Real ID Act. I believe I made a short video about Real ID Act, and that's going to cause some restrictions for travel for folks. And so that takes place in May 2023. So we'll have another video that talks more about that. But if you want to know more information about that quickly, I'll just Google search or Bing search Real ID Act 2023. So you get more information about that. Because it depends on the state if you can get identification, driver license in a different state. I know some states allow folks to get identification, a state ID essentially, even if you're not don't have legal status. Okay, but your specific question, any chance to adjust, now that this new question, any chance to adjust status with approved I-140? So, okay, after this one, I'm going to share the secret code, folks. With approved I-140, don't qualify for waiver. Can you travel within U.S. by plane using foreign? So yeah, I guess I just answered that. I thought you were asking another question on this one. So I don't know why you mentioned waiver in there. So that's probably a reason to give us a call, schedule an appointment for those free 15 minutes. But yeah, some folks are in a situation where they need a waiver because maybe they overstayed. And so if you're in an employment-based type situation, there's a law called 245K that only allows up to 180 days of unlawful presence. And I know that's a very short time. So I'm not quite sure how many people qualify in that kind of situation. But yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by what situation you need for a waiver. So yeah, give us a call and we'll happy to chat. Okay, Assassin's Airsoft. Roop, you're welcome. What are your chances to get travel approval document? Because you have, well, I think no chances actually, because you don't have asylum status, or yeah, I guess you call asylee status. From what I understand, you need asylee status to get travel document. I could be wrong, but yeah, you typically need to provide a reason on the application of why you need to travel outside the United States. I know it sounds strange because it's not like they're trying to force you to stay in America, but for you to get, oh yeah, so yeah, you mean advanced parole? Yeah, that's what I figured, advanced parole. But yeah, I don't believe asylee seekers, where you have a pending application, you can get travel document. Okay, but I recommend looking at the 131 form. Okay, if you Google search instructions, it can tell you exactly the different categories. Okay, like it say refugee, pending adjustment, um, and asylee. But I don't believe it says asylum seekers, meaning you have a pending application. I could be wrong, but take a look. Let's see. So I got a couple more questions. Then you know what? I promised y'all the secret code, so I'll do it now. Thanks so much for your patience. Let's see here. Let me move this one. Okay, here we go. Thank you so much. Here it is. Okay. The benefits of hiring a team. No other law firm is specific like this. We have the secret code right there in the bottom left of your screen. You could have guessed it, green card guys. Okay. I know some people still can't find the secret code for some reason. But Brick, is there any new plan for amnesty? Yeah, I think you just joined a little bit later, but we were just talking about how the proposal by Representative from California, Zoe Lofgren, was proposing 7 years. You have to show 7 years in living in the United States for it to be rolling. So without a cutoff date. So theoretically, it would be great for immigrants, of course. It'd be great for attorneys because we want to help you. But my take, JT's take, it's not going to happen because there was a Citizenship Act of 2021 and that wasn't passed. And that was already going to help an estimated 14 million people. So I don't see how Republicans, conservatives would agree to this one. So, but I just think it's a way to start the conversation again. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Why can I fly domestically with a foreign passport after real ID starts? You know what? Since this topic came up again, let me just double check that to see if I have the answer for you. Okay. The best way to go, friends, is the tsa.gov website. Okay, that's what I'm looking at right now. Let me see if I can share my screen. I always like to show the short source of where I find things. If I can speak right now. Okay, so here it is. It might not answer your question directly, but let me make it a little smaller. Let's take a look at this thing, and then we might end the show. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about this Registry Act proposal. I think it's just a bunch of crock, but at the end of the day, I know I went on a tangent. At the end of the day, we need politicians, the moderate Democrats, to get their act together. Joe Manchin from West Virginia, and yeah, I'm gonna call him out. And Arizona Senator, I don't even know her first name, Krista Sinema. They need to get on board. If we can't get them on board, how can we get at least 10 other Republicans on board? So anyway, they need to get the Republicans. They need to get some of them. Okay, to this website, TSA. Okay, yeah, it was passed in 2005. So beginning May 3rd, 2023, every air traveler 18 years or older will need a real ID compliant driver license or state issued enhanced driver license. So I think in Texas, where I'm at, they have like a star, like a hologram type of star, or any other acceptable ID to fly within the United States. So let me click on that. What is an acceptable ID? Foreign government issued passport. So there's your answer. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. But of course, my assumption is that it has to be valid. So I don't believe it can be expired and still use it. And that might be tough for a lot of y'all because I know like the Philippine consulate is based in LA only, or at least in California. and they're just difficult. Like they're difficult to get them to help out. So, but I believe they travel across the United States. Roop, will amnesty also help for pending asylum? I mean, possibly, but because it's not. I think I remember you said you applied at least in 2016. So if it were to pass, it could include you, but they could add more requirements later on that we don't know right now. So still very early, and it has to pass. It has to get into the House floor, go through committee, get past their committee, and then pass in the House. There's just a lot of steps. We're just very early on to speculate. Okay, friends, thank you so much. And by the way, we do have a TikTok channel. I went for it. I joined. I'm not dancing all the time, but we do share a lot of winning stories out there. So if you do have TikTok, please, please click follow and share some videos. We greatly appreciate Green Card Guys underscore John. Okay, and here's the secret code again. All right, appreciate it, friends. And oh, San Francisco. Okay, thanks. I was trying to remember if it was LA or not. All right, appreciate y'all. Have a great day. Take care now. Or night, wherever you're watching from. Be safe. Bye bye.